Good morning and welcome to Whenever You Are. I am Bandit Haze, and today I'm going to be talking about Ghost in the Shell, the new movie with Scarlett Johansson that just came out about a week-ish ago, I believe. I think about a week or so ago in the UK, maybe a little bit more than that in America. But I know like a billion other people have already done their review on this movie, and here I am doing my review way later than everybody else, but hey, it is what it is. But I saw this movie on Sunday. It is now Wednesday, so it's not super fresh in my mind, just to put it out there to be completely transparent and all that. But it's only a few days, so it's not like I've just forgotten a whole bunch of stuff. At least I hope I haven't, because then that would just be very awkward, wouldn't it? But yeah, I'm going to do a review on the movie and, just talk about what I thought about the movie. I also want to talk about some of the things that other reviewers have said about it as well, and talk a little bit about that whole whitewashing thing as well, because that's like the big thing about this movie, isn't it? So the film then, the story of the film is that it's about a cyborg by the name of Major, or they refer to her as Major, in the movie, played by Scarlett Johansson, and she is working for an organization known as Section 9, and they are tracking down a hacker known as Kuzo. That's the main story. I'm not going to go for any spoilers or anything like that, but that's just the main basic overall story. And I liked the story. It was pretty good. Quite interesting. I didn't have any issues with the story itself. The plot line was pretty good. The story is pretty good. It all gel together quite nicely. I also liked the action sequences as well, lots of guns in there, which is awesome in a movie like this, and the choreography was just fantastic as well. So look, the action was great. Love the set pieces, some of the slow motion that they did as well was all awesome, and also like the visuals as well, just the scenery and everything. It just looked awesome to me. I know some people complained about the CGI. I don't have a complaint about the CGI. I mean, for me, when I was watching it, for the most part, I don't even think I really noticed it or took any real notice of the CGI there. Maybe it's because I'm not a film critic who studies CGI and sits there looking for every single strand of CGI-ness in a movie. But, I watched the movie. The CGI didn't bother me. It certainly didn't stand out like a sore thumb or anything like that. And everything, the visuals, it all looks like it belongs there. Everything looked like it just fit in the movie. Nothing stood out like, whoa, why is that there? Nothing was like that. I think a good film, or sign of a good film for me anyway, is something that can really draw you into the film and not have anything that sort of kicks you out of the, the world of the film. It just draws you in and keeps you there. And I think this film does a good job of doing that. It has some really cool dialogue in there as well. I won't go through the dialogue, mainly because I don't remember most of it, actually, to be fair. But I remember it being pretty cool. So yeah, definitely worth paying attention to the dialogue. Well, you should be paying attention to the dialogue when you watch a movie anyway, but there's definitely some really cool lines in there. Now, compared to the original anime, it's not quite scene for scene exactly the same, but it is a lot the same in terms of the visuals, in terms of what you see, and some of the camera angles and so on. A lot of that is pretty much the same, but I'll say it's about as much the same as it is different. I have heard some people say that they also borrow from the second movie, the second anime movie, and also the standalone Complex series. I have not seen the second anime movie nor the standalone Complex series, so that's not something I can confirm, but according to people who have, it does borrow from those as well. So perhaps you get a little bit more out of this movie if you've seen those as well. But certainly the original anime I have seen, and it does definitely, you can definitely see the fact that it's based on this in this movie, because it is Ghost in the Shell. I think the main difference is for me, though, in terms of just the concepts of the films is, well, not so much concepts actually, but in terms of just watching the movie, I should say, the original was a lot more difficult to follow on the first viewing than this was on the first viewing. I've seen the original a bunch of times now, so I understand it a bit better. And by the way, I do plan on doing a Haze Explains on the original, so look out for that. This movie, watching it for the first time, and then comparing that to when I watched the original for the first time, I felt this movie was a lot easier to follow. I've heard some reviewers say that this movie, the new movie, was dumbed down. I wouldn't go that far, but then perhaps my understanding of dumbed down is different to what their understanding of dumbed down is. For me, dumbed down is when a movie just spoon feeds you everything, where you don't have to think about a damn thing at all, where it's just here you go, here you go, here you go, and you never have to think about anything. That's what dumbed down means to me. Perhaps it means something different to them, but that's what it means to me, and it definitely isn't that. It definitely doesn't spoon feed you a bunch of stuff. It's not like Avatar. Avatar was dumbed down to just the nth degree. It's definitely not like that. And by the way, I did like Avatar, but it is a dumbed down movie. Like, you just watch this movie like, really? You're not even gonna let me think about this bit, But anyway, but yeah, it doesn't do that. It does still give you stuff to think about. It does still challenge you a little bit. It's not exactly the same things to think about as the original, but it does still give you some stuff to think about, so it's pretty cool in that way. It does have some depth to it, so though it was easier to follow, it's not, in my view of dumbed down, it's not that. It's still maybe not super complex. I will, maybe that far. I'm saying maybe not super deep, but certainly it is multi-layered and not just surface level, and not just a surface level movie. It does go a little bit below that. It does go a little bit below that. Now that does kind of lead me into one of the things that I heard one reviewer say, where the complaint was that it's not exactly the same as the original, which to me is just kind of a silly complaint to have, because remakes never are the same as original. They're always going to be different because they're a remake. It's going to be a different crew, a different cast, making at a different time, sometimes even in a different country, so it's never going to be exactly the same as the original. Otherwise, you may as well just re-release the original, which, by the way, isn't such a bad idea. But if you're just going to make exactly the same, you may as well just re-release the original. It's a remake. It's going to have differences. It's based on the original. You can see where the original influence is coming from. And I think when you're watching remakes, rather than saying, oh, but it's not exactly the same as this, and they do things and rather than doing that, it's more, I think a better thing to look at is, what does this film do, and is this something I enjoy? And I think once it's something that you enjoy, then cool. I mean, not everybody's going to enjoy this movie. I think, if you're not really into action movies or sci-fi movies or, stuff like that, cyborgs and what it means to be human, if that stuff doesn't interest you, then yeah, you're probably not going to enjoy this film. But to say that you're not enjoying the film because they didn't do the exact same thing as the original, I don't know, that doesn't seem like a really solid argument to me. It's just like, of course it's not the same as the original. Why would it be? That's like saying, I don't like Inception because it's not exactly the same as Ghost in the Shell. It's like, why would it be? It's a different... Anyway, all right, and so the last thing I want to talk about then is this whole whitewashing controversy, because that was a big thing about this movie coming up to its release. And I will say this, like, look, I'm not a big fan of race changing when it comes to these sorts of things. I'd rather they keep things the same as a preference, mainly because I just feel like it's a bit lazy when you start doing all these race changes and stuff. I'd rather new characters get created rather than just taking an old character and changing them. That's always been my view on that. That being said, I'm not entirely against race changing either. I mean, there's times where I think for the most part when you watch a movie or whatever where they've changed the race or gender of the character, for the most part it doesn't really matter. That it doesn't add anything, it doesn't take away anything. It just doesn't really matter at all for the most part. And there are times where it does actually add a cool, interesting dynamic to it. So that's to be acknowledged as well. Now, that said, with this movie, the outrage was that in the anime as a Japanese person, or technically, I don't know, she's not really Japanese and she's not really human. So there's that fact. But is it racist to say she's modeling a Japanese looking person? I don't know. I think that's the best way I can describe it for the time being. I would say though that as far as this film goes, that doesn't matter in this film. I think they do a good job of acknowledging that she's a white person, but without making that the point of the movie. And at the same time, it doesn't do it in an insulting way. It just works for the film. And I think that when you look at the film as a whole, there's actually a few different race changes in the film. So it's quite a diverse cast. So I feel like complaining about is one thing. I mean, I get it. When you're watching the trailers and stuff, it's like, okay, you don't have much to go on. But I think once you watch the movie, it does make sense. Now, could they have hired a Japanese lady to play the role of the major? Absolutely, they could have. Would that have made the film better? Maybe, maybe not. Guess we'll never know now. But for what they did do, for using Scarlett Johansson, for using the actors that they use, for the cast that they had, for the crew that they have, for the film that they made, for the end result of this film, everything that went into the film, whether it was this person, that person, whatever, all the stuff that went into the film, the end result is that it's an enjoyable movie by my standards. I liked the film. Overall, it was positive. There's very little, if anything, I can truly fault it on. That being said, I wouldn't quite say it's perfect, just because I don't need to cinema like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. I just left the cinema thinking, it's a pretty good movie. So I liked it. I think most people who like action movies would like this as well. I think if you like the original, you'll like it. I think if you don't care for these sorts of things, then yeah, maybe don't bother. I don't think it's going to convince anybody. But overall, good movie. And that is what I think of Ghost in the Shell. Villagers, what do you think? Full of life or emptiness? Let me know down below, and if you liked this video, give it a like and share it amongst your friends. If you did not like it, then give it a dislike and share it amongst your enemies. Either way, let me know your reasons in the comments. Subscribe if you have not already. Thank you for watching, and until whenever, if ever, never send a rabbit to kill a fox. I think in all honesty though, it does need more clear tempo. I felt like the way they introduced her in Daredevil and the way they progressed with a character through Jessica Jones and then Luke Cage, especially with Jessica Jones, it just seemed to be diminished quite a bit. You know, her character seemed to be diminished quite a bit, and this series